Hi. Hello. Hi. Again, Vikram and all the team of Brews and Spirits. Hi. Sorry. So, thank you very much for organizing this event. Honestly, personally, I'm very happy to be here for few reasons. I've been working in, different industries for over 20 years, and out of that, almost a decade, I worked in Diageo. So, I worked in this industry. So, for me, it is like homecoming. And second, looking at all the small brands, all the craft brands, the things that you're doing, the crazy things that you're doing here with all the new innovations and etc. Sometimes I feel, what do I do in HP? Should I come back? But again, my boss is here, so I'll not touch upon that topic, and I'll come, I'll start with why am I here. So, first of all, I heard all the stories. I mean, I've been here since morning, and it's just amazing, like every brand, every small brand, and be it in different industry, be it Feni or gin, all of you have a great story, to begin with. You have great liquid, you have got, you're really killing it in the market, but you have a great story. Now, my question to you is, what is it that you're doing to tell the story through packaging? And this is where, we have been working with a lot of brands, not only in Alcobev, but across the FMCG industry. So we thought that, we'll kind of take you through our journey, what we do, how we work with brands, how we co-create, how we help them co-create their story in a better way through packaging. Before I kind of go into the story part, I want to give a little introduction of who we are, like what exactly HP doing here, and not really about laptops, but something else. So again, printing, packaging happens typically in a conventional way, right? So let's say you're making labels or cartons or even your marketing collaterals, right? You're producing this typically in a conventional way. So this is what we call it as a conventional workflow. So where you have your artwork, and then that artwork kind of goes into the color separation. You have to make those plates or cylinders. Sometimes you have to make certain colors. Then it needs to get registered, and then your actual printing starts, right? And then the remaining processes to get your product, be it label or shrink sleeve or whatever format that you're looking at. And this is where digital is very different from the conventional process. So from the design, the design still remains same, but from design, it would straight away go for printing. Interesting part is post-printing, the finishing is quite similar. So whatever type of finishing that you do for your conventional printing, you can actually do it for digital as well. So it has certain advantages because of this key characteristic, key nature of this technology. So the first one is, because all these processes are eliminated, you can deliver products to market with speed. You don't have to wait for all these lead time for making plates and cylinders, etc., and for registration for, So typically that time is somewhere for some industries between 2 weeks to almost 6 weeks. With digital, you have artwork, next 5 minutes you can start printing it. But more importantly, it also is with variable graphics, which means because it is digital, every artwork, every micron of the artwork can be unique. And I'll talk a little bit more about it later. Second important thing about our technologies is the color consistency. So we call it, the HP technology which is used for packaging, we call it as a one-shot digital offset technology. Just to give you a reference point, almost 70-80% of the Indian marriage albums are printed on Indigo. And so imagine the kind of quality, the color quality and consistency that you require there. And lastly, you would produce only what you need, right? As per statistics, it was studied that almost 25 to 30% of packaging never reaches to the consumers. So this is where, by using the digital technology, you could actually reduce 30% of your wastage, packaging wastage. But I want to touch upon a very interesting point in this, which comes in the design part. See, today, you are telling your design teams, to go crazy, go bonkers, design something, out of the world. But you are giving them a constraint. You are telling them you can do everything, but it has to fit for the conventional technology. Now, what if you can tell your design team that you don't have that constraint anymore, and you could actually, you could actually give a personalized experience to your consumers. And this is where exactly me and my team come in. So we work with brands like you know, we've got Archana sitting there, and she would know that very well. So we work with these brands, you know, to help them create some personalized storytelling, and that too not on the small volume, at scale, across their journey, so that they can accelerate their growth on a sustainable basis. But why personalization? You know, why personalization is important? If you look at Indian population, almost 64% of the Indian population, you know, the median age is around 25 to 27. Okay, so it's a very young country. I mean, I heard somebody telling, you know, worldwide the millennials and centennials are 30%. We are lucky, you know, we got a massive population which falls into this bracket. And as per a study that we conducted with WARC, what we found is, as we go down the line, as we go towards these millennials and centennials, the interest for the for consuming the personalized product is very high, and it comes from the key characteristics of these individuals. You know, they are not really brand loyal. They love to flirt. You know, they are very sustainably conscious, and they are looking for unique experiences. So this is where the demand for personalized products is very high with these generations. In fact, some of the digital campaigns, we have seen that the strategies, the creative strategies, is to involve these guys into the user-generated content onto the packaging. See, the millennials, you know, they are spending time on LinkedIn, you know, Instagram or Facebook. They are not just browsing, they are creating content. So how can you get that content onto the packaging? How can you have user-generated content into your designs is one of the key strategy that we see there. Another interesting fact about this personalization is people are actually willing to pay extra. I mean, the product kind of remains same, but just because it is personalized to them, they're willing to pay extra. And you could actually experience this if you can go on a website called cadburygifting.in. You know, you could order the same pack of Cadbury, you can personalize for somebody, and a pack of 150 rupees, you would actually pay, and people are actually paying 400 or 500 rupees for the same pack of chocolate. And most importantly, when we look at the campaigns which the brands have done using personalization, they are actually seeing a massive difference in the returns. So in comparison to the regular campaigns, they could see almost 2x, double the return in terms of sales, in terms of profit, as well as in terms of soft marketing matrices such as brand equity. So let's kind of understand what is personalization. So if I may ask you, what is personalization? Can anybody? Yes. Right, so for example, and so you have your own photo on the product, and you know, being in this industry, I know that, for example, sometimes we can do laser engraving on the bottle and we give it to somebody, like it's very personal to him, right? But that's at a very macro level. Some of the brands have realized the power of personalization when you really exploit it at scale. So Coke has been doing it very, very brilliantly. You know, so they use some of our technology tools, and with a very simple tool, we call it as a variable data, they have changed their brand name with possible variable data. So in some countries, they have used names, like personal names. So suppose I go into a shopping mart, I see Patrick or Naipal, and I know that he's my friend, I'll pick that bottle and I'll give to him. In India, they did this with relationships. So they used almost 64 relationships in 12 different languages, over 9,000 different artworks, and it was a big campaign for them almost. I mean, for a scale of Coke, they saw 7% growth. The other next possibility in terms of personalization, we call it as a versioning. So be it, you know, special events. So for example, event like this, you could create special packaging. Coke has been using it for different events of Olympic or for Christmas and events like that. And then the other extreme that we see in this personalization is what we call it as a generative art, where every artwork, every bottle has a unique artwork, and this is something which they address a need of every person is unique. You know, so how can you give an experience of unique and extraordinariness to those users, to your consumers? I actually have a video clip, so let me play it that kind of explains this in a really nice way.
We at Diet Coke believe that each one of us is unique. That in each one of us, you can find that special something that is extraordinary. This is the essence of our brand. we have decided to make an innovative marketing move and replace our branded bottles designs with millions of unique and different looks. Millions of one-of-a-kind bottles. All bottles, in all sizes. Each one is unique. No other bottle in the world looks the same. In order to make our consumers feel extraordinary each time they drink a Diet Coke, we've developed a revolutionary technology. A special algorithm gave the printers the ability to think like a designer and create countless and different amazing designs, which were printed on all the bottles. Millions of designs. Millions of bottles. The launch of the campaign was followed by hundreds of billboard ads. Each billboard looked different. At point of sale, we gave our consumers branded gifts printed with the same designs as appeared on their bottles. We flooded the TV with a groovy spot and a pop-up commercial every time there was an extraordinary performance on The Voice show. The campaign created a huge buzz on the social media and even on eBay. The results were also extraordinary. We gave our consumers the actual feeling of extraordinary by bringing our brand's values to life.
Look, we are in an industry which is media dark, right? So in that, I heard that there are a lot of external constraints. So in that situation, how can we make our packaging work double the time, double the effort? How can you extend, the packaging from the product to the experience space? So this is where I think, Coke has done this really brilliantly. Now, why people buy personalized products, right? It need not be a single reason. Like we spoke about, because every bottle is unique, but there are different drivers. So when we did this research with WARC, and again, WARC is the same agency which does the Cannes Lions Award. What we found out is there are different reasons. Personalization is not a single faceted thing. People have certain emotional drivers because of which they buy these personalized products. So we studied almost 9,000 campaigns, out of which around 10% of them were, these digital packaging campaigns. And what we found out is, there are 6 key emotional drivers because of which these, people buy personalized products. So I want to kind of show some examples with some specific drivers. And I want to kind of first start with what we call it as a mindful materialism. And I believe in the current situation, this is very much important. That how do you take, how do you drive thoughtful and inspired consumption where sustainability is so important? How do you bring the emotional connect of your consumers with your brand? So I'm just going to play a clip first.
Her, she, noticed they're in our name. Sometimes they're really close.
Sorry, I'll play it again, sorry.
Her, she, noticed they're in our name. Sometimes they're really close and we don't see them. Incredible women who draw, sing, write, express what they feel. On the International Women's Day, these are not commemorative packages. They are an exhibition. You must be one of them. Send us your work.
So I was listening to Anjali, right, when she was talking about Makazai, and Makazai is doing some activation in form of Pride Month or for Women's Day, and somebody had said gimmick. But I really believe that, if we really look at it from a purpose point of view, we can really make difference. We can change behaviors, and this is how possibly Hersheys has done it really brilliantly. Now there are some other angles of this project I want to talk about. See, Hersheys did this project in Brazil, where it was not a number 1 chocolate. In that market, they were in somewhere number 8 or number 9. So if I look at let's say a corollary to this industry, again, craft brands, you are not really leading there, but you are somewhere at the number 12, number 13, something like that. You are not a big player. But, by doing this campaign, they saw 600% growth in their sales. They opened their artworks. This is a perfect example where you could invite the users to be part of your journey. They use their packaging as a canvas where the women, from different walks of life who are in performing arts or in music or in drawing, they could participate and they could see their work reflecting on a brand like Hersheys. They got 90 million earned impressions, again, return on investment. But I think most importantly, as a brand, they could touch upon a very, very important socially relevant point. So I think really kudos to Hersheys for doing something like this. In India, for this Valentine's Day, we did a fantastic campaign with Kit Kat. So before I talk about it, I just want to ask you, how many of you seen the ad for this Kit Kat pack in the Valentine's Day period on the TV? Anybody saw the ad? I'm sure nobody has because they did not, right? Imagine, a chocolate brand, when they launch something, in market, especially for an occasion like Valentine's Day, they go gung-ho, in terms of consumer marketing. They do advertisement, they will do big billboards and whatnot. Kit Kat, they produce 1.2 million chocolates, with every chocolate having a unique image, like they call it mudra. Some people call it bro code. I don't understand this language, but the youngsters sitting here would understand that. And they just placed, these chocolates onto the outlets. And when we went back to Kit Kat and when we asked how was the performance, they said within that 1 week of Valentine's, the 1.2 million chocolates were sold off. Yeah. Again, we are in a media dark industry, packaging, selling just because of how it looks. Food for thought. Some brands are also using a different aspect of, the digital packaging where you could create variants, right, in the single run. So, Mondelez in UK, they have tied up with the EPL. Again, we have got IPL here, so I see some sort of relationship. They created, for 9 different English Premier League clubs, they created unique packaging. And again, these are not 9 variants, because in every pack, the artwork keeps changing. So it becomes some sort of a memento, it becomes some sort of a souvenir for the brand's fan, for the particular club's fan. And one interesting thing about this project is, a typical Dairy Milk bar in UK would cost around £2. People were buying this for £6 online. Right, so it also kind of gives you that right to charge extra, just by doing a packaging innovation like this. And as a technology, we don't just stay at packaging, especially for this industry. It is never just at the bottle, right? We do so many trade marketing activities. We print T-shirts, we do ice buckets, we do coasters. We do so many things in the outlets, and all those are short runs, right? So imagine everything of this can be done on the same technology on which we could do labels or packaging. In India, we've got almost 250 installs which could actually do commercial applications like this. So it is all locally available. If you are interested, reach out to us and we can connect you. You're already doing this. You can use the power of personalization in doing this so that you can engage your consumers better. So just to summarize, I want to kind of talk about the journey. When we work with brands, how do we see the journey? So typically, for supply chain advantages, the brands come to us because for short runs, as I said, it makes sense for them to produce digitally. There are a lot of brands who are already, producing their labels on Indigo. We've got Janus International here, and a lot of brands are affiliated with them. You could go and check their packaging. But then when you scale it up, the brands start realizing that there is something more than the short run. There are supply chain advantages. We heard about local sourcing. We heard about sustainability. And I'm very proud to say that this is the most sustainable packaging technology available anywhere in the world. And the brands are really using it, and I'll kind of talk about it in example. But the real benefit a brand can get from our technology is really when you scale it and when you can use the technology for a social impact. Now, I want to talk about one thing which I possibly, it was not discussed today related to this industry. See, we got a challenge of drink and drive, right? It's a big challenge as an industry. Imagine as a community using your packaging, what is it that you can do so that you can educate the customers and address a big social challenge that we have around drink and drive. So a thought that I'm leaving with you. Again, there are lot of craft spirit brands using this technology for limited releases, for creating variants. I want to show a video to show how a craft spirit industry or a craft spirit brand using our technology. So I'll just play a quick video.
So limited releases for us are really important. We started them almost immediately after we launched, and it gives us the opportunity to innovate and push the boundaries in production, as well as experiment with new and novel native botanicals and grains. Summer Gin Project for us was a fantastic release. It was one where we went hyper-local on the botanicals. There's sea lettuce from the rock shelves at Coogee, there's pink peppercorns from the local bushlands, and we tried to reflect that in the label with the wooden base label and then the sort of beautiful watercolour illustration from a local artist as well. Archimite release for us was really fun. It's iconically Australian. It's a mixture of Sonoma sourdough, Pepicea butter, and a blend of yeast extract spreads. We approached the packaging a bit differently. We used it to have a bit of fun and explore some of those sort of grocery conventions in design, and I think it turned out really beautifully. So one of the things that we didn't really expect when we started some of the limited releases was how collectible they would be. Particularly Horasumi, we had people queuing up to try and get the whole series, looking for them secondhand, and even buying the empty bottles to make sure they could have the 4 bottles on their shelf. It's also been great to see the limited editions grow in popularity over the years. When we started, we were doing batch sizes of about 3,000 units, and now we've just recently released a batch size of 30,000 units. And in some instances, these limited releases are selling out as quickly as 9 minutes. So authenticity in everything that we do is really important to us. We try and be as transparent as possible in all of our production processes. And on pack, what that means to us is trying to get as much production data and product information onto the label as we possibly can. Beyond that, we also direct people to the website from the label, where they can go in and basically see all of the geeky production information they could possibly want. The quality of the spirit is paramount in every instance. But really, the level of attention to detail we put into making the spirit is also what we put into the design and packaging. So going forward, limited editions are always going to be a really important part of what we do. We love doing them, and for our customers, they love them as well.
And I heard about limited editions. I think a gentleman said that if it is limited editions, why don't every bottle to be numbered, right? That's what he said. And it's happening in India, right? Diageo, who has again recognized that, sorry guys, they're coming into your space, possibly in the craft drink space, but they launched, 2 variants of Epitome recently, and for both the editions, and I think the first one was 2,000 bottles, the second was 8,000 bottles. So for obviously, it was making sense for them to go to digital, but they did number the bottles. They did signed the bottles individually, and it was all done on Indigo. So again, this is about short run, right? But with their recent launch, and I'm sure you guys are tracking it, with their recent launch of Godavan, which is again, this is a brand which is standing for sustainability. It celebrates, the conservation of a endangered bird called Godavan. So the whole concept of the brand is around sustainability. They're sourcing the liquid sustainably, the glass, the packaging, and everything. So they took a conscious decision that since, we want to make it everything sustainable about this brand. So be the labels, be the packaging, every part of the packaging need to be sourced from the most sustainable solution available out there in market. And that is where, even if it is a longer run, even if it is done at scale, they are still producing these labels. They're still, these are again numbered labels, but they're still producing it on HP Indigo. And we could say that because we have a data, we have data to support that. Again, this is a little technical, but I'll try to make it simple. we compared, we actually took a run, for a different application, but we took a run, equivalent run with comparing technologies like Gravure and Flexo, that is where your typically labels are produced. And what we found is we are almost 65 to 80% less environmentally impacting in comparison to these print technologies. So be it carbon dioxide generation or water consumption or power consumption or whatnot. Right? So I think it's also about choice going forward. I mean, we heard that sustainability is need of the hour, right? So I think as a brand, you got to choose personalization wheel. We do a process called HP Garage where we understand your problem, and then together we kind of come up with a story together. I want to finish my presentation, but I want to finish it with a beautiful video here. I'll not talk much about it, and yes.
I want to take Feni to the world. I think in 2010-11, when I first was thinking about a label and coming out with it, the last thing I wanted is the product to come out of Goa and a Feni to come out and look like a third world product. When you start out as a brand, nobody wants to give a chance to the small guy. At that time, nobody came out with textures. You couldn't ask for what you wanted. They said, this is what we have, you accept that or don't accept that. And then these guys would take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You were just sitting there by your phone waiting for it to come.
So when Hansel first came to us, he explained to me that he was having a lot of problems with his earlier supply of labels where the labels were peeling off the bottle, it was not sticking very well, the adhesive was not very good. He also told me that his bottle had a particular shape and a different size, that had to fit very well and snug. See, that's where the HP Indigo digital press comes into play with its versatility of letting you print seamlessly on these substrates. So when Hansel said that this is what he wanted, okay, it had to be crisp, sharp, bright colors. We knew this was the press that we had to use to achieve the job.
If you look at my sales before the labels and after the labels, you suddenly saw confidence because now the labels weren't peeling out, now the texture was there was a vibrancy that I wanted, and most important, it was consistent. So when people picked up this bottle, it was no longer just a souvenir, it was also a respectable product. The HP printing solutions really helped us in a big way. There is a lot I'm gearing up for, and I'm sure with Janus supporting my startup and the versatility of the HP Indigo digital press, I can focus on what I do best, distillation. I can't wait to create new brands full of culture and meaning.
I mean, Hansel is there, so a little applaud for him. So look again, I mean, I finish here. These are my coordinates. I mean, if you can scan this QR code, it'll take you to a website. We call it Reinvent Creativity. So I shared very few stories, but it has a lot of other stories. I hope you will get inspired by that. And this is my email, so I'll be around. Let's have a chat, let's have a beer, and let's create a new story. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasad.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could we get Naziba to please hand over a memento to Prasad, and I'd like to invite on stage our panelists for the last discussion of the day, which is our fireside chat. And before that, yeah. Thank you, Prasad. Pleasure. Thank you.